But we are going to transition into the final segment of this podcast today, which is going to be talking about the AFC and NFC North. Now, let's start with the NFC North, and let's just start off with the one that's probably going to win the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. I know you don't like
I
them,
dislike their offseason. Yeah. No, I dislike the Packers and I dislike their offseason. I will always hate the Packers. They're probably the team I hate the most. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. Any Packers fans that listen, you ain't going to like me much because I will
but
rag on them any chance I get.
hey,
But
I got you, Packers
I,
fans. I got you. I got you.
he does. Yeah. No, I can't stand them. And part of it's a little bit biased because you managed to smack us in the playoffs a few times. And that's part of my hate. But there's various other reasons, but we can get into my hate another time. But I hate their off season. I dislike the decision of picking Aaron Jones over Corey Linsley. It just doesn't make sense. Running back contracts don't work out. The Cowboys are on the bad end of one right now. The Zeke contract, I love that he's here. Don't get me wrong. Zeke's my boy. I have a Zeke jersey I'll probably wear. But the contract isn't good. And Todd Gurley's contract didn't work out. Christian McCaffrey, as soon as he gets a contract, he gets hurt. He's gone pretty much. And who knows if he'll ever come back. I mean, running backs are so short lived, it doesn't make sense to give them big long term contracts. And then letting O linemen that, on the other hand, last forever and are always going to be there for you. Your running backs may change 10 times, but you're going to have the same offensive line blocking for them. You can't let them walk to keep your running back. So it doesn't make sense logistically. On the other side of things, though, I do like their decision to re-sign Kevin King and some of those defensive pieces. I think overall their defense is going to be fine. I think the scheme was the issue last year. I hate
No.
Mike. Yeah, he's going to rant about that in a second. But I do like the decision to bring him back. But I do think the Packers are having one of the worst off seasons this year.
Yeah, the Packers haven't looked fantastic this offseason, but I'm not that low on them as you are. Because I mean, yes, letting Corey Linsley walk is really, really rough. But maybe, their other center, maybe they have faith in their other guy. Maybe he showed something. We don't know what goes on the practice fields. So maybe they valued Aaron Jones more than Corey Linsley because they had a for sure, next guy up kind of thing. But they didn't have another running back to fill in. Although I know running backs are easier to get than linemen, 100%. But I just meant like on their team currently. So I'm not as sus of the Aaron Jones signing. I do understand why one would be hesitant about it just because, yeah, like on the surface, keeping a running back and letting a center walk is very weird. It's very, very weird. But it could still work out for the Packers. And the Kevin King thing, yeah, great re signing. He was not the problem. The scheme was. The defensive coordinator was the problem against the Buccaneers. Uh, that play when Kevin King was blown out, I think by Chris Godwin right before the second half, that was a scheme. I have watched that play multiple times, and it was the placing of the players and like where they were supposed to go and like the people they were supposed to cover essentially was just terrible. It was a terrible thing. Uh, I, they should be happy that they moved on from their defensive coordinator, which that is one thing that I really like their offseason. I really like them moving on. And the guy they got, I mean, he could be an experiment. I forgot his name, but I think he was somebody from college. Um, so, like, see if that works out. And I think he was like a linebackers coach or something like that. Something to do with
I don't remember.
linebackers.
Yeah.
Um, but again, like, hey, like take a chance on a young guy, see what he's got. Would have liked him to take a chance on a different young guy. I think there was like a guy from the. I think there was actually a guy from Wisconsin, from the Badgers, that they could have gotten, but I think he stayed because he likes where he is in college or something like that. But moving on, like I think that depending on what they do in the draft, their future can still be bright. And on top of that, they also don't have to do too much to, continue to beat the the people currently. Actually, I'm gonna redo that because you messing with it was
Oh, sorry.
no, no, you're fine. Um, shit, where was I?
You're gonna say staying on top of the NFC North.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that they'll stay on top of the NFC North because it's really not that difficult to do. To be fair, I mean, we're about to talk about the others, but like, I'm a lot more sus of all of the others off season minus one, and the one that I'm not sus of has almost zero chance next season. So,
Yeah.
so let's move on to one of those sus people of the Chicago Bears. What are you doing, Chicago Bears? What are you doing, Chicago? I
They
don't
may be the
understand.
biggest loser, almost no matter what. They may be the biggest loser of this off season. I like Andy. I said that last week. I do. He needs to be a career backup at this point, though. He's not the answer, especially for $8 million more expensive than what Mitch Trubisky signed. Trubisky ain't the answer either, but for the price that he signed with the Bills, you might as well just keep him. It
No,
doesn't. You let him go to get Andy, who's may or may not even be an upgrade, and if he is, it's minuscule.
I
And
I
you
I'm
have to
very
get
sus
rid
of
of
him being an
Kyle.
upgrade even from Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and you have to let your all-star top 5, top 10 corner go in Kyle Fuller. You have to say sayonara to him,
To get Andy Dalton?
and then Kyle Fuller dances on over to the Broncos, and the Broncos are just laughing at them.
The
I don't know if
Broncos
the
are
Broncos
like,
had something on Chicago. They signed him 36 minutes after he went into free
yeah.
agency. You don't see free agents sign that fast. Everybody was like, "How do you, how?" It just doesn't make sense. And then retaining Allen Robinson. Now I get it. Allen Robinson is great,
But
but
give that
paying
man
him
a
the amount of money
contract
when he's not even actually happy to be there, he signed his tag because he's a relatively unconfrontational player, but he's not happy to be there. No one's happy to be in Chicago. Chicago's a depressing place. So you at least need to be a good team to make your players happy, and they aren't accomplishing it. They're directionless. They're going to be horrible. They're going to implode, and you manage to waste one of my favorite players in Khalil Mack.
Yeah. And I just don't understand how Russell Wilson was their guy, right? Like that was the guy they're going after. They don't get him. Plan B is Andy Dalton.
You should have been freaking playing Z. What? How is he the second option when you lose out on Russell?
Like,
I liked them throwing the house at Russell Wilson. I
yeah.
did. The report of them offering 3 firsts. It was very steep. But if they had done that, I could have possibly put them in contention for next season for the Super Bowl. Andy Dalton does not do that. Andy Dalton may not even put them in wild card contention.
No, I don't think any NFC North team other than the Packers are going to the playoffs next year.
No,
Especially with 17 games.
no.
The Bears squeaked into this past season. With another game, they would have been kicked out.
Yeah.
I just I don't see it. And also like why isn't like Deshaun Watson your second option or Jacoby Brissett or Tyrod Taylor or
Or Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick? Like there's so many other names I can name other than Andy Dalton as my second option. And like you pull the trigger so quickly on Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
It was like the day after the Seattle said no, or maybe it was the same day that Seattle said no, and they're like Andy Dalton. But moving on to another depressing franchise, Minnesota Vikings. What are you doing as
I
well? Like what?
I like some of their moves. It's just they're moving laterally. They signed what? Patrick Peterson, Xavier Woods, who I do like Xavier Woods. I think that's a nice pickup for him. And then I like their signing of Dalvin Tomlinson, even though it's a little expensive. But
But
when you move
Harris,
over to the other side, they let They let Anthony Harris leave. They let Kyle Rudolph leave. They let Riley Reef leave. They're just opening up these other holes while filling these other ones. So great. You
They're
upgrade
not
your down.
actually accomplishing anything.
They're
Yeah,
flatline is what they're doing.
yeah. I mean, I can't say they're going to be 8-8, but I mean, honestly, actually, I think they'll be 8-9. Like, I don't even think they're going to be 9-8. They're going to be 8-9.
If even that good.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, you don't know which Kirk you're going to get on any given night. I love Captain Kirk, as they call him. I love him as a person, and he's fun to watch when he's doing
No,
well.
yeah.
One of the most
I think he
inconsistent
could have
QBs
been.
that there is. He could have been good if Washington hadn't screwed him over. But it's
Washington
too late
screwed him over.
now. He's inconsistent. You ain't going nowhere as a franchise, and that's the only time they're even winners is when Dalvin Cook is healthy and he's 50-50 on whether he's going to continue to stay healthy at this point.
Yep.
As with running backs, like I said earlier. So
Sad day for the for some northern brethren, but a little bit of a bright spot for the Detroit Lions. Now, again, I don't think they're going to do anything next year, but
yeah, they'll be lucky to win a couple games,
yeah,
but they're headed places.
yeah.
The Stafford trade, the value that they managed to get for him, while picking up a nice bridge QB and possible answer if he's able to resurge. Because he
No, yeah.
was a number one
I mean,
overall pick for a reason. He
yeah,
was a
Jared Goff
number
was the
one
first.
overall pick
Like,
for a
wasn't he the
reason.
number one pick? Like,
Yep.
he was the
And not
number
that long
one
ago,
pick.
I didn't like him, granted, but
No, but
I
like,
think he's got it in him.
yeah, like
So at
he's
worst,
still
you dump
good.
him in a year. At worst, you say bye because you ain't contending anyway right now. You're rebuilding and you managed to snag yourself 2 extra firsts. It was a good decision letting Galladay leave. I went in on Galladay last week. He got paid way too much. You're going to get a nice compensatory pick for him. You're set. And then picking up a nice piece in Jamal Williams to help their backfield. They're going to be a meh team next year. They probably will be in contention for the number one overall pick, but that's fine because then next year they can go give themselves a QB at the top of the draft
Yeah,
if they want it. Doesn't work out.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
they're headed towards an excellent rebuild with their head coach too. I like his energy, biting the kneecaps off, as he says.
That,
But
and also it looks like they're finally going to actually have an identity because finally the owner is like, all right, let's not let's not suck. Let's get like a good GM in here, and let's get a good coach in here. Let's establish something between the three of us, and like let's get this ball rolling.
yeah,
And so
good.
it definitely seems like the future is bright for Detroit Lions fans and for the city of Detroit in general when it comes to sports, or at least when it comes to football for this because like like you said, if Goff works out at all, if Goff is their starter for more than just next year, period, they made out like bandits with that trade. If he is their starter for even 1 year more, like because they got so many picks because of the Goff's huge contract that letting him go, okay, whatever, we're not contending anyway, or oh shoot, you could actually be good. All right, yeah, let's go, let's do this thing. And now you don't have to waste a really high draft pick on a quarterback. Well, I say waste, but you don't have to use a your really high pick on a quarterback. You can use it to fill your other stuff.
Yeah,
And on top of that, with kind of like what the Rams are kind of heading towards right now, I mean, I don't know if they implode this coming year, but they could implode the year after that. And then what if they have a top 10 pick because of the Rams
could happen.
in
There's about to be a
2022?
mass exodus over there.
Yeah.
It's about to be.
So we'll we'll see. And don't forget to leave your comments down below. We would love to hear any and all opinions. We're very good about that. We love to hear what you guys have to say. And you know what? Sometimes, if you make a really good argument for something, maybe we'll throw it in on an episode or something, talk about it. But don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good YouTube algorithm, all that good stuff. But until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Joel, and I'll see you next week.
And this is Two Nerds Sportscast, and we are peacing out. Y'all have a good one.